Hey.
And she recently posted about precision learning. It's like the next thing the vendors want to happen. Sounds very cool, right? It's like we can be precisely what they need at the right moment, at the right time. And like, this is horrible. It's not,
Why? Why is it horrible?
It's because we missed this, right? Like, we just had conversations and learned things and thought through things we would not have ever done if someone came to us and said, here's the exact script for the podcast. And so I think by trying to be overly precise, overly perfect with AI stuff, that we are losing the value of conflict, of what happens when you don't know and you just let things kind of free associate and bubble up when you bring together people with different ideas and the magic that happens there. I'm not saying we just go willy-nilly and forget that trainers exist or anything like that, but this like obsession with always at the perfect moment and always the perfect learning and always perfectly tailored, like perfectly tailored according to whom, like, just,
right.
You know,
what is normal?
Yeah.
What is normal? Yeah.
I think we need to learn to engineer more serendipity and just enjoy a little bit of the unknown if we're really going to learn and continue to grow as human beings.
Hey, welcome to Game Layer, where we explore the science of play and the quest of learning. I am your host, David Colmer. Theme music by Caleb Willits. Welcome down to Game Layer.
I play piano.
I play chess.
I play everything.
I play games of my own invention.
I'd like to move to the domain of play.
How is building and maintaining a business similar to playing and winning a game? Season 2 delves into casting the business owner card, exploring the entrepreneurial play. So I want to give a special thanks out to Nicole Papiano for joining me today on the program. Thanks, Nicole.
Hi, Dave. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. You're always a blast to talk to, and I love the podcast. So, yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks. I was so excited that you said yes, you wanted to join me on the program, mostly because I know of you, right? We've never really hung out face to face, but we've seen each other on LinkedIn a lot. And if I had to put a word on your work, it's always quality. Everything is very polished, and people even comment on that a lot on LinkedIn, like, oh, wow, your stuff always just looks perfect. So I know that doesn't just happen. There's a lot of probably focus on that. So just want to congratulate you on the quality.
I really appreciate that. I think when you're operating in a vacuum, as we all do, you don't really know what people from the outside are perceiving you as. So it's really meaningful that is what people are taking away, or you specifically. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean it. I feel like it's almost your brand. Like there's a sense of just cleanness and everything's just well kerned and organized and laid out. So there's a lot of thought that goes behind that. So I always like to kind of start by, sharing how I perceive the person. But yeah, thank you for that. It's very inspiring to see such cool work. And can I just ask you, what about the ducks? Like, where did the ducks come from? Because there's a huge theme of ducks.
Yeah. Okay. So
that seems like the pressing story on
there's
hand.
Yetis and ducks. Yeah. So I guess, what was it? 2024. How does the lore begin? 2024, my team was talking, and step one was I didn't want to be the face of my brand anymore. So I built your instructional designer as sort of me, right? Like it was just me on Instagram at first, and that just rolled into steam and became something bigger. So I was like, I don't want to be this face anymore. I feel like it's me who's being consumed and not our products. And also, like, we had a great team, and I just wanted it to be more than that. So the first step was us being like, well, what are we going to be known as? And so we started with this Yeti mascot. Somewhere down the line, the Yeti is still there. That's like the Your ID mascot. But somewhere down the line, we also started talking about who we are as a team and what's important to us. And writing was always one of those things. It's still one of those things. I have a PhD in English. I was a writing, instructor, professor before I started my career in ID. And so we wanted to build a program. And in the spirit of social and collaborative learning, which is what we do really well at Your ID, we sat down and just started spitballing ideas. So we were like, what happens when you've written? And so there's all these words on the board, and one of them was, I can effing write. And then we were like, we can't use effing. Like that's not search friendly. And so what is autocorrect change the word to? It changes it to ducking. So it became, I can ducking write.
Yeah.
And then
and that comes through.
Silly.
Like that's always the joke. Yeah. And I've jumped on that bandwagon.
More ducks than I know what to do with. There's a whole tub of ducks. Yeah. And so that was eye conducting, right? And that still exists. I still do that training. I'm doing it more B2B. We're going to do a, individual round soon. But then we were also doing Let's Ducking, right? Which was kind of my spin-off of just doing creative writing because I just needed it in my life. And so I did some local stuff. So I have even more ducks than just the online ducks.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's the one I'd be more interested in is the creative writing. I can ducking write. So I'll take a note of that. And I reached out to you in the past about that. And then life got busy and life started lifing, as they say. And I never signed up for the class that I asked you about. But it's still on my radar.
Well, I know there was no promotion intended here, but I literally am just starting the wheels turning again to start putting those programs out, like I said, to individuals. So they will be there again soon, Dave. I have to pick my dates. But I've been trying to get in touch locally to do it here as well, because I think it's really important that we have these creative outlets that are low stakes. As learning designers, everything we do is kind of creative, but it's a lot of pressure and it leads to burnout. So I just wanted something that was just for us, just for me, just for you, whoever's ducking writing.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you say it that way because I was kind of burned out last year and I reached out to an artist friend. I was like, what do I do? She's a complete introvert, right? You wouldn't know her. But she's like, you need to listen to nonfiction, and I've started doing that and it's helped tremendously to kind of just find myself again, if that makes sense, right? Because you kind of get lost if you're listening to all the Simon Sinek and all the personal development, professional development. It's like, where did I go? Where's Dave,
Yeah, I do.
But really gotten into just different science fiction podcasts, and we could probably talk about that for an hour. But a topic I did want to ask is how you identify as a writer, because that definitely comes through, right? All the stuff for you seems to come back to the fact that you write. So what was that like? You said a PhD in writing, or
pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome. What did that feel like? That's intense.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to land where I've landed. I feel like that's been kind of the trajectory of my life. Usually I resist something and that's what ends up happening. But before I went to college, so I'm going to take you way back, I was convinced I wanted to be a horse trainer.
It's training adjacent.
Yeah, I wanted to train horses and people had to ride horses.
You can lead a horse to water, right?
Exactly. And you can have a good drink. It is accurate.
Right. Yeah.
And the barn owner was kind of like, Nicole, it's not something you go to college for. And if you have the talent for it, you're going to do it. But also it's a hard job and it's not basically make enough money to buy a horse, because owning a horse business is you're outside all the time. You're dirty. You're, when it's freezing, when it's raining, it doesn't matter what it is. You are responsible for these animals. It's a really difficult job. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot more than I bargained for at 17.
Sure.
And so maybe someday I'll start my homestead. But in the meantime, I was like, yeah, maybe I should just make enough money. And I didn't know what to do. And my mom was like, Nicole, you really like to read and you're a good writer. Why don't you become an English major? And so I just kept going for 14 years. And that's how it happened. No, but even when I got into my PhD program, I thought I was going to be this Victorianist. I was going to study Victorian children's fantasy. I was very into Lewis Carroll and all of the reading that was happening during that time. And I got into teaching, and that's actually how it happened. I started teaching, as basically that's what they do with their PhD students. They make you teach their composition classes and things like that. And I was also working at the writing center at the university I went to for my master's program. And this is a very long-winded story, but I'll get there.
No, you're good. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Go. This is the good stuff.
I started to see the transformational quality of writing. And that's really where I've landed here. Because writing is just this amazing tool. It's an agent for change. It's an agent for expression. It's an agent for understanding yourself, the world around you, for making connections to things, to people. And I just really saw it at that point in my life. I was probably all of 22 years old, having a reckoning. And it served me really well throughout my life to know how to communicate and how to help others communicate their ideas in writing.
And I like that. I like it. It's almost like a distillation of thought. I don't know if that's a word. You know, it's like that pure energy of the thought itself. And then clearly catching that. I think I became a writer much later than you did. It was after college, after traveling Southeast Asia. Someone gave me the book, The Elements of Style.
Oh, yeah,
that book?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it just changed my life because, And Shrunk, But that book really opened my eyes to the idea that, no, it's It's about making it really concise, right? It's about really boiling the idea down and how can you say it in the simplest words? Anyway, I mentioned recently I got into nonfiction, right? I was trying to listen to nonfiction and I failed. I ended up getting like Stephen King's autobiography.
Yeah. On writing?
Listening to on writing.
Yeah, I have that one on my Kindle.
Okay, yeah. I have it on, I got it through that library app. It was so good. And I like this idea of writing is almost like time travel, right? You can capture this idea and then it's a time capsule. I like how he romanticized that. So just my 2 cents on writing, even though, I don't think I'm a phenomenal writer, but it's like we all can write.
If you write, you are a writer. That is my belief.
Yeah.
Truly, I'm not a gatekeeper. I mean, maybe you're not a published author, but you're a writer, you know?
We all write. If you write a check, I had a friend who was a really good writer. He's like, if you write a check, you're a writer. You write.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Yeah. So I saw a post recently, this kind of bleeds back into everything, where you were working with some cool kids on writing, and the idea came up about AI. And you right? And that seems to be a trend in any session I go to now. Someone brings up AI and then we just talk about it for 45 minutes. Like love it or hate it. But I loved your takeaway, and I wanted to hear you kind of go deeper on the idea that good writing is when the learner or the reader knows that you care, or that comes through. What did you mean by that? Or could you expound on that for me at all?
Yeah, I'm going to botch all the research because I'm giving it off the cuff. But there is basically a body of research that shows that the perceived level of effort, right, is what kind of shows that you care. And when people think you care, they engage because they recognize that you've now taken the time, you're thoughtful, all of those good things. Mm. And I think it is the same with writing and with learning design. It's if your work shows that you care, then people are more likely to engage with the content. And you can also think about it from a trainer perspective. If you have a trainer who walks in the room, wants to get to know you, cares about relevant examples, thinks about who is in the room and how they need to adjust, the people in that room are more likely to engage with the training, forgive potential faults because faults are human, and learn ultimately. And so it is the same with writing. I think there's too much time being spent saying, is this AI? Is this not AI? The truth is, a really good writer who has good human judgment and cares about their audience, even if they copy paste it from AI, which they're probably not doing entirely, but even if they copy paste it from AI, they're using it as source material and then thinking about their audience, right? So you won't know. If somebody cared, you won't know it's from AI or it's used in a way that demonstrates they still care and just needed to get the information there to you faster. It's when we don't show caring that people mind that you used AI.
Yeah. And you can tell. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. I mean, if you've canned responses, right? Like those sorts of things, then yeah, like why am I going to give you the value of my time if you haven't given me the value of yours? It's an exchange.
Yeah. It made me think of a Stephen King portion or a quote, to write is human and to edit is divine. So I guess now like to write is robotic, but it's the same thing, right? It carries over. And I love that was that kind of the takeaway.
Yeah. I am not a Luddite, like I don't write with a pencil most days. I use my computer.
Yeah.
So I just, it's here. We got to think about what that means. And I think just to say no is I don't think black and white thinking usually gets us where we need to go.
Yeah, binary doesn't usually help. But it is interesting how it is everywhere, right?
It is.
It's just everywhere. But again, I'm not a Luddite either. And I think that it has a lot of value to add if we see it as like a tool or as a companion. I'm on board. Something else I wanted to talk about, and this has taken us off track a little bit, but I have a background in like sales kind of, or more like customer service, right? Think like coffee shops, serving at bars, serving at big box stores. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing. And maybe you can disagree or agree, but it always feels like if you're solving someone's problem, and this is the way I kind of say it, I think from the training world too, is if I'm solving someone's problem, then they're really going to be happy that I'm here, right? And they're going to keep reading or they're going to keep engaged in the learning content because I did something for them. I actually thought about it and found a solution. Do you think that's the same thing or do you feel like that's different?
No, I think that's it. It's the spirit of like, okay, I care about you. I want to serve you. I'm here to help you. And they recognize that.
Thank you for listening to Game Layer. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and especially review wherever you found us. This keeps us in the charts and helps other learners find us as well. If you got something out of an episode, please be sure to share it with someone who you think will like it.
I care about you. I want to serve you. I'm here to help you. And they recognize that, or you don't, right? And
yeah.
I mean, people do tend, and I think that's where I'm trying to get, like, a lot of people use AI because they want to control, right? They want control. They feel imperfect or unable to produce whatever it is. But when you're genuinely human, or in that big box store interaction, I used to work at Best Buy once upon a time as cashier.
Lowe's. Never stop improving. Yeah.
Yes. And so you see the human reaction, but also like when you're on the reverse side of it, like you can feel when somebody who's a customer service rep doesn't care about you, even if they say all the right things. And so, I mean, I think we forgive, even if they don't say things perfectly, if they're human about it. And so we can let go of the control and about that fear a little bit and accept that we can serve them if we just care about them. And then maybe rely a little less on AI.
And I like the concept here where we're getting credit from them, right? For example, when you're training live in a classroom, a lot of mistakes are probably going to happen, right? And if they already like you, then there's a good chance they're going to overlook those.
To be human is to be flawed, you just can't help it.
It's going to happen. So if you come in, I think, and you're not helping or you're not listening, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So it just really struck a chord with me, just that one sentence. And I've just been thinking about it a lot because it just ties back into a lot of the things I think about when I'm trying to help people learn, right? You got to get them on your side. And it's like Daniel Pink, to sell is human, right? Everything is sales now. So I just really liked that. Can we talk a little bit more about your trajectory? You talked about being a writer and getting into school. And then at some point you had some jobs. And then those jobs, those led into more of like a solopreneurship or deciding to start your own business. What did that process look like?
Like I said, it's mostly a process of saying I wasn't going to do something and then doing it. So I went to college and I was like, I have this English degree. I am never going to be a teacher. So I became a professor. Then I was like, I'm never going to go corporate. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I took a job as in ed tech. Yeah. And then I was like, I'd never want to work for myself. It's too much pressure. So when I got laid off there, I became a consultant and I worked for myself. And then I was like, I don't want a business because it's too many people to deal with. And then I took on a staff. And I was like, so it's just been an evolving rolling ball of saying no to probably what I should be saying yes to.
That's awesome.
Don't want $10 million right now. I'm just going to keep saying that,
I don't want to retire and buy an island.
Buy 50. Right. Yeah, no, not at all. But in all honesty, I think I'm just someone who I really look to where my strengths are valued, but I still have an opportunity to grow. And wherever that path is kind of where I walk it. It's always been teaching and training. Like I joked before, I wanted to be a horse trainer, but I did. Like I was teaching kids at 14 years old how to ride horses. And that's been the thread that just keeps pulling. And business ownership was I just really enjoyed the opportunity to be in control of who I was working with and to be vendor agnostic. So my first foray into L&D, I worked for a vendor. And so I was stuck using our platform, which was really cool at the time. But, once I got out, I was like, oh, I don't have a middleman. I can solve my own problems. And that became a little intoxicating. Not the right word, maybe, but I'm going to go with it anyway.
It's all good.
Like, I just really liked having that kind of power and control and ability to genuinely help my client instead of having to sell a product.
Yeah. And so when you were helping that client, what sort of things were you doing? Or when you made that leap into sort of doing your own work, what sort of work was it? Or what was it like? Yeah.
So that first job, I basically took the leave from professor and I designed a lot of my own curriculum materials, everything. And then I started working for this company that was basically a Hollywood video production studio that bought this adaptive learning courseware product. And they had amazing graphics team, video production. We had a studio in-house, but they didn't have the learning expertise. So they were doing great storytelling, great content, but they weren't actually doing the training part. So they brought me in and that's how I started working with them. By the end of my time there, the product became more of a predictive analytics tool, like a SaaS platform essentially. And so they figured out that it was better for them for business to not have the overhead of a giant, training and content team. So they kept their team at about 3 people, and the other 40 of us went off to greener pastures. And so at that time, I was working very closely with a commercial airline, and they were like, "Hey, Nicole, like they're not going to have this service anymore. You know our business really well. You've been working with us for 2+ years now. Do you want to come on as our consultant?" And so that was my first foray. I came in, I helped them. I forget what program. I think it might have been the Airbus A320. It might have been their aviation maintenance technician training. I don't know. I did so many programs with that client. I can't even keep them straight anymore. I've done literally, I think, every single role in the airport. But that was what it was. It started off with helping them decide how to take their very dated in-person training and create something that was more blended. And then it kept going, just different clients, different problems. It's been fun.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I like the idea of being a consultant like that. I've never done it. I mean, I think that's kind of why I picked the theme this year or this season, I guess. I don't know how long the season's going to go, of just asking about this, because I guess where I fall on it is it sounds really romantic, and it sounds like, oh, what a cool thing to do. And then sometimes I see people like having posts like, oh my gosh, the overhead, or oh my gosh, the stress. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, is it worth it? Or is it cool? Or do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because it looks so cool, but like, so is riding a motorcycle, but that's terribly dangerous, right? So is there a way, check and balance like that? Or how does it feel when you're in the hot seat like that?
Yes. You can't be risk averse, I don't think.
Okay.
I think owning your own business is a little bit risky, but also having a full-time job this day and age I feel like it's just as risky.
Okay.
Because we're in L&D, we're just the first to be laid off, and that's
the truth.
Kind of the reality of our job market. Is it as glamorous as it seems? There are definitely ups and downs. So when I first got into it, it was very easy. I had no children. I was just dating my husband at the time. It was me and my rent. And I could always, my theory is when you're alone, you can always find a way to make money. So it wasn't scary. And I had a little bit of savings. I was fine to ride the highs and the lows. By the time I was about 2 years in, I had to figure out systems to be more consistent. And then I had the opposite problem, good problem, but I was too busy. And that's when I started to take on staff. But then you do see very quickly your overhead does explode. So like people are like, why is your consultant $150 an hour? I could do this for $30 an hour, or whatever the prices are.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm spending, I think last year before, it was like $15,000 in software licenses, and when I send so-and-so a laptop, or I have to fix their thing. And then, your own professional development has to be considered because you don't have a company paying for it. So I mean, you do become a business owner and you wear all the hats until you can afford to bring someone in. And then you have to do that risk assessment too. How much do I have? And I've had to let go of people. That's not fun.
Right.
But, and so if you're like conflict averse, that's not the right role for you. But I still very much enjoy being able to define how I want to work, define the problems I want to solve and who I want to work with, and be able to reinvent myself or shift as I see the market shifting, which you can't always do in a big business or when you're operating under someone else's, mission and vision.
Thank you for listening to Game Layer. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and especially review wherever you found us. This keeps us in the charts and helps other learners find us as well. If you got something out of an episode, please be sure to share it with someone who you think will like it.
So pros and cons. I mean, I would say it's not glamorous. It's still work. The dream is really to do no work. Just like dabble in philanthropy. But as far as work goes, it's not painful. I like the work I do. I like the people I work with. Great.
That's good to hear. And thank you for sharing, because I think I've even seen you post on LinkedIn. It's like, do you understand the cost of all this software? Crazy. Like that rang a bell when you said that. I think you wrote that post.
I probably did.
I think you did. Yeah.
I know we've talked about it, but like then having children. So it's been wonderful to be flexible. But in terms of my business, like, 5 years ago before I had my first, I was out there doing conferences. I did webinars all the time. I had a beautiful office. Now I'm like on the corner of my bedroom, which you can't see that side. That side looks fine. So like I had all these perks of not having children. And then I didn't get maternity leave because I own my own business. And so I could neither afford to take off nor continue running the opt-in without me. And there is no maternity leave for freelancers and small business owners through the government. So yeah, like I sat in my hospital bed and answered emails during my first childbirth. So like, but on the same note, I'm flexible. Like my kid's going to come home from camp at 4:30. I'm going to go pick her up and have fun. And then if I want to dabble in my work at 11 p.m. when everyone's asleep, I can, or I can't.
Yeah. No, that's good. And that flexibility is priceless, really, in a way. And, I think that's actually what initially drew me to instructional design. I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, and then got into that simply because of the flexibility. Same thing. Yeah, my kids are at camp at 3:30. I'm going to go pick them up because I can. Yeah, right.
What I love to be doing, there's trade-offs, right? So like, of course I love to be doing more, making more, but I do really acknowledge that you have to think about your values, and ultimately right now, this is what I like. I'd rather not send my kid off all day. That's what's important to me. And so I like being able to be home and take care of them once they get here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's those priorities that you need to make decisions on. So you're the founder and learning strategist at Your Instructional Designer.
Yeah.
Does it sound fun to hear that? Or how does that feel when you hear that out loud?
I have...
We've already talked about it, but it's kind of cool, right?
It is cool. I've been a founder in other capacities. So I am the founder of Your Instructional Designer. I never know what to call myself because I feel like it's not a startup in the traditional way where you'd want founder, but I don't feel like CEO or president quite fits. But I've also been a founder of other organizations. Years ago, I had started Recovery Education and Online Learning. I came in as their chief learning officer. And there was an executive C-suite in place there that brought me in. And so that was cool too. And I guess basically founder it just means that I like to start things. It's true. I like to start things. I love the refining process. Once things are like working really well, I admit that sometimes that's when I'm like, okay, give me the next thing.
Yeah.
For better or worse, I thrive in chaos.
Yeah, I like it. And it's almost my next question, right? You learned something about yourself, right? You've gone out there and done something, and I feel like we learn. And one of the themes that I sort of have on the program is failure is learning, and learning is a process of failure. And is there anything that happened that wasn't ideal that you felt like you brought a good learning event from or a takeaway?
Yeah.
You can share all of them, but whichever one you are willing to share, maybe, right?
I'm willing to share many.
Okay, cool. It's my favorite part. I'm sorry. It's my favorite part because it's like we're so afraid to fail, right?
Oh, no.
The corporate world is so afraid to fail. Well, in general,
I know we are. Yeah.
I think people are. We're L&D people. We're kind of freaks. So we're unique in that way, I think, right? But
I think so. Yeah, we have a very high performance culture, just right work. But I also just don't take myself too seriously. For better or worse. I'll give you two. I'll give you one that is like, this is what could happen to any instructional designer, because I think, not everyone who's going to listen is necessarily going to be entrepreneurial. And then I'll give you the business flub that is painful and I've learned from.
Awesome.
The first one was early in my career. I'm working with those aviation clients, and I came from a background in teaching writing, right? So I had no idea. I remember not asking what a PV was. It turned out it was a push button, silly things like that in the manual. I didn't know what it was. But because of that, I wasn't sure of my own skills. And I had a very strong background in learning design. Just from my program wasn't literature focused. It was like the cognition and how we come to learn to write and pedagogy. So I had that. But every time I made a suggestion about how to design this new version of ground school, they'd say, well, this is how we've always done it. This is what the FAA requires. And so I listened to my bosses and my client at first, and I built this really boring, awful training that was like a $2 million investment. Yeah. And it wasn't great. And luckily, I got a new SME a few weeks in just because of schedules. And he was like, no, Nicole, like this needs to be performance based. Here's what the pilots do once they're done with ground school. They go and they pass their oral exam so they can get into the flight training device, which is like simulator 1.0. And then they get into the fancy expensive ones. He's like, so when they get in there, they need to be able to recognize what's on these screens and know these systems. And so luckily we had time and we had just written things on documents and not produced videos and stuff at this point to really turn it around and make it more of like training, right? Not just a presentation on aircraft systems, a replication of the manual, but actually like, here's a scenario. How do we think through it? What are we looking for? Rating really strong assessment questions. Yeah. So
action mapping. Yeah. Yeah.
That was mistake one. Definitely.
Well, that's nice. You turned it around. That's actually good.
Thankfully, I could learn from my mistakes and apply immediately, which is definitely not always the case.
Yeah. Agile.
And then in business, I would say, which still hurts my heart, I think the markets really went haywire in 2024, I guess. And so I held for so long to try to keep, I had a staff of W-2 folks and we had a lot of freelancers. And so I am people-centered. I care about my people. I care about my people. I did everything possible to keep people on and I just kept people for too long and it was a really hard hole to climb out of from a business perspective. So like instead of acknowledging we were losing a lot of money, I just basically put myself and the business into debt. And then it took, like I said, a really long time to climb out of. And another thing about being an entrepreneur is that debt doesn't fall on the business. I'm an LLC. That debt falls on me. So I had to carry out the $20,000, $40,000 or whatever I had just basically paid to keep my people paid. And in the end, they all landed up. And so like all of that anxiety I had, if I just had come forward earlier and been like, look, I think we need to start making a plan, I think it would have been better. But things happen as they're made to. And so I think it taught me just a really valuable lesson about making sure you're clear about what the business needs. Yeah. And then watching the budget, being realistic. Like I just kept saying, we're going to get more. We're going to get more. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't the right time. Now things have, are coming back online. It's not quite what it was in whatever 2023 or 2024, or that crazy year, like 2 years out from AI and
okay.
The politics and all of the world was kind of on fire at the moment.
It really was.
Yeah. Things are not great in L&D.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I think there are a lot of failures there for me because I was a little too optimistic. I wasn't dealing with what was there. Like maybe there were ways I was trying everything I knew how. Like I tried every possible outlet I got a business coach. Like I tried so hard to make the money happen and it just wasn't happening. And so I still take it as a personal failure that I couldn't make more to keep everyone employed. But I also think knowing what I know now, if you run a business, the numbers in your P&L are real. You can't make them up and just give yourself credit for things that haven't or aren't going to happen.
That's a heavy lesson. Yeah, it really is.
It was a heavy lesson. Yeah. And it still hurts because the people, like I could care less about that money. Like money can always be made back for me personally, but like I just hated the real impact. Even though everyone landed up.
It's good they did. And that makes it a little bit easier, I assume.
Yeah. Like but I was able to make introductions that led to some of those connections that got those people to their next roles. So that was good too. Nice. But still, you don't, as the leader, you carry the burden and I don't forgive myself for a lot of that.
Well, thanks for being so candid. I appreciate you sharing. It's an interesting story. I also kind of want to hear more about some of the benefits that you've gotten, right? There has to be an array of things you've learned and gained that are just solid wins, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Any of those come to mind or one of your favorites?
Yeah. I mean, whenever we hear back from a client who doesn't need, because nobody needs to come back to us. I mean, that's, they pay us for a project and they can go away forever if they want. So anytime we hear back from them just for the sake of hearing back from them and hearing that their program is working, that they're really happy with the outcomes, that's wonderful. Or they come back to us with a future project because they've really enjoyed working with us. Like that brings me so much joy. And then being able to help people with real challenges. So like one of our clients is a talent assessment firm, and they bring in a lot of newly graduated PhD students who have clinical or organizational psychology backgrounds, but not necessarily a ton of consulting experience. So we worked with them to build out their consulting program, and just luck of having worked with them for years, I've gotten to see people who are getting promoted now because they've gone through those programs, and the partners letting go of some of their, I don't want to say micromanagement, I guess it is a little bit, but just like feeling like they needed to control everything and they needed to hand train everyone who is there, and giving that power now to some of the senior and principal consultants to start building their own teams and their own capabilities. Like those are huge wins to me. And then being invited to do conference talks, podcasts. I've been invited to write chapters or help. I don't know if I can say the book I'm working on right now, but like I'm working on a book that was really influential for me with the authors and writing a new edition. So that's been a huge win. There's definitely perks.
Yeah. That's quite a few. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. If someone's teetering between maybe going out and becoming a solopreneur and not, what advice would you have for them, or what questions should they be asking?
What is their capacity for risk, I think, is number one. So if your whole family is relying on you to put food on the table and you're currently full-time employed and you just want to go dabble and you have no idea what you're about to do, I might not suggest that for you.
I like it.
I might say start by moonlighting and learning a little bit about what it means to run your own business, because you will now be your own marketing team, your own sales team, your own bookkeeper for a little while. You'll be you're like your CFO, you're all the people, and it's a lot to learn, and it's not the same thing as necessarily designing great training. So that leads me to point 2, which is like, if you build it, he won't come.
If you build, he will come.
So even if you have this great product and you are an amazing designer or just amazing at what you do, even if you're not in L&D, that's not necessarily going to bring anyone to you. And so you do have to think about, well, who am I? What messaging do I want to put out? Who do I need to connect with? And like whether you're willing to, I think, 1, be the face of your business, and 2, be the salesperson for your business. If that's not something you're willing to do, then you either got to partner with someone or you have to say that you're just better as an internal employee. And then getting very comfortable with ambiguity, because everything is ambiguity. Like you're going to create your own proposals. You're going to create your own templates for working. You're going to create your own process. Your clients are probably going to come to you with very unclear problems, and you're going to have to make sense of them. And your customer service, right? That often you're operating in ambiguity. You don't necessarily know how a person will react to the things you say when there are problems. So if you're comfortable with that, you like that, you're good in spaces that are a little gray, then it's good for you. If you're not, then maybe not the right space. And I think the last one is just like, you're going to start somewhere and it's going to evolve. So that is something you should expect. I'm not the same learning designer I was in 2017 when I started your instructional designer, and my business has undergone differences. Like I kind of started an e-learning evangelist. I thought e-learning was going to solve all problems. Oh, Nicole. And, I got a little bit more programmatic, and I think I'm still that way. Like I really like to build programs. But for me, the heart of it became like social and collaborative learning, and how are we embedding this into our very not social and isolating systems that we use now to distribute work and learning. And it's going to evolve again. Like now I partnered with a friend who is the CEO of a psychiatric practice, and we have a big vision for doing professional development events in person for like early career people, starting with women, most likely. But so we've put together this event partnering with a local theater, and maybe things will evolve that way. I don't even know, to be honest. So that's part of the thing, right? Like just be comfortable evolving, have values, have structure, have things that your business rests on, but be willing to adapt.
It's that last story that you just said, like this random project that you're on and you don't know what you're doing and you're out there. That's so appealing to me as a person. It's just so interesting, the diversity of the work, right? And I'm not getting that now as a full-time instructional designer. I do have the solid schedule, the solid work, all the benefits and that.
Health insurance is nice.
Health insurance is pretty cool when you have little kids. Yeah. So peace of mind. So Yeah, it's probably premature in my life, and that's just me oversharing about my life right now. But, I think after my kids are not dependent on dad and mom like they are now, it's something that's going to be in the back of my mind. So I'll get it out of the way now. Talk about it now. Have an idea a little early, right?
Yeah. And if
I'm a little jealous, because you kind of got the ball rolling before you had kids, right?
I have to pay for health insurance. Don't be too jealous.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but I got the ball rolling because someone lit a fire under my butt, right? It was either like, do this work and be this consultant. And I thought eventually I would fall back into full-time work. And like I said, it just kind of worked out that I found out I really liked it. But if I didn't do that, I didn't pay my rent. So life sometimes will hand you the toolkit for what needs to come next. I hope that does not ever happen for anyone here. Being laid off is a really hard thing to experience. But what I would say is if you like that, I think there's a few things you can do. Maybe internally look for opportunities to consult. So are there ways that you can be involved earlier in the learning process or work on special projects with special teams or maybe just start a community of practice? I don't know. You'd have to talk to, your supervisors or your team and see what's possible. But you can be an internal consultant if the appeal is like, I just like diversity and talking to people and doing more of the needs analysis stuff. So that's one. And two is cool. you can always moonlight, pick a small project, something narrow. Don't try to maybe build an entire
boil the ocean.
Yeah, I can do really big blended learning projects quickly because I have the resources at my disposal now from all of these years of working, right? I know who's really good at e-learning. I know who's really good at voiceover, all of that. But before that, it was more like, not the airline case because that was different, but I could just do one RISE course or I could just do one outline for training or write at the time. I don't think this is as much anymore, but I could write some scripts for your video course because you don't have people who know how to do that work. Now, AI will change some of those tasks. But what's one really niche skill you have you can capitalize on? Maybe you go out and you just do that as a side hustle. Little kids, so I don't know how much you're gonna do, but it's there and you can kind of ease yourself in, build a reputation, get clients who are willing to give you testimonials because social proof is very important to convincing other people to work with you, and then you build slowly. And when you feel comfortable that you can master the skills of business, then it's a better time to make that departure.
Well, thank you very much. I feel like I just made it about me, and you give me a little side quest just for Dave there. So that was cool. Thanks, Nicole.
Of course, yeah. I don't feel that way, but I'm glad you found it helpful.
I always have this fear of becoming a narcissist, right? And I think it's kind of why I have self-deprecating humor, going back to the training days, I think, right? And being a teacher, you just try and keep it all balanced.
I agree. I sit on these podcasts and I'm always like, oh my God, I'm talking too much. And then later I'm like, Nicole, you're the guest. They're asking you questions because they wanted you to be on there. But I'm sitting here literally going, I didn't ask Dave enough questions. So I understand.
Yeah. No, I felt like that. I was on Cassie Labore's show and I was like, oh my God, I just talked the whole time. She's like, Dave, you're the guest. You're supposed to talk the whole time. Yeah, but it feels weird when I'm used to being the guy asking the questions. So
exactly. Yeah. So maybe the last thing was get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
100%. 100%.
Well, but so I will flip it from your perspective, because I haven't been internal in a really long time. I won't even put years to it. I haven't been internal in a really long time. And even when I worked for a vendor that produced training, not for an internal team. So maybe what's awesome about working internally?
I think it is seeing how you have a team and there's different strengths that everyone brings to the table. That's what comes to mind. For example, the leader of our team, she's got this huge background in video production, so she knows how to project manage really, really well. The other guy on the team, he's a writer, so he writes a lot of our stuff because he has like you, he's got a degree in writing. And then I'm the strange unicorn in the corner, and I kind of just do everything else, making stuff look pretty and do a lot of the editing and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's the diversity of the team and identifying the strengths. But I'm sure you have some of that too in the people that you work with, right? Like you said, consultants that do the voiceover or consultants that do this or that. So it's similar. It's the same, but different, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do have specialists in my network, but it's definitely we don't get to, I think one of the things, so yes, I love people and I don't want to do the work if I don't have people around me. I found it very demotivating when I didn't have the team, not just because of the the like failure I felt, but because I just hated coming to work and only talking to myself. Like there's so much magic in bringing together conflicting opinions or same opinions. Like just that group is so important. So it's awesome to have that internally. And then I think the other piece we miss as being external is I have to kind of beg for long-term results and evaluation. And I give my clients these plans that I build with like LTEM and I tell them exactly what they need to measure. And some of my clients will take me up on the offer to like include, I don't want to say debriefs, but yeah, like kind of like debriefs and evaluation sessions moving out from that. Yeah, postmortems, but more than that. So like actually doing the evaluation and having meetings and discussions about those when they actually come up, because not everything is right after training, right? It's longitudinal.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But most don't, or they forget, or they don't apply the systems. And so externally, I can only give you the plan and try to make it easy for you. I can't actually be there to like usher it through.
If you build, you will come.
And I don't often, unless it's a long-term client, which we have a few of, but not all of, I don't get to see what the broader impact of the work was. And so and like very silly and selfish, but like awards, I can't apply for half of them because I don't own the training, right? I've built it for someone else and they have the results not. So like
I don't really think that's just selfish. That's also marketing. But I was also kind of thinking like that's a two-pronged thing, right? Like, yeah, number one, you get to have the selfish benefit of seeing that the training actually worked. But also it's kind of like a bullet on the resume, or it's like a marketing tactic to know that or be able to prove that it worked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's like more than one thing going on there, probably several that I'm not even thinking of.
Yeah. And I have like, just so you know, I have like dabbled. So I've had moments in my career where I've gone out for jobs. And the funny thing is where you're like, it's scary to go into my field. Like people on the other side just kind of don't get it either. And so I've been rejected from jobs in my top 2 multiple times now because I am an entrepreneur and they don't know how to interpret those results. And they just think it automatically means I'm like a flight risk and I'm going to leave, which I don't know. I haven't been in a job for 10 years. So maybe it's true. I can't say, but it's very hard for me like box my same experience in corporate speak, I think.
Yeah.
So getting back into the market once you leave may be also a challenge is kind of the other thing I would say. I'm happy here now, but
that's good. This is an interesting thing I didn't think of. Yeah.
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 I didn't either. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Now that's your bag. That's your brand.
Yeah, that's it. I'm stuck here. No, I'm not stuck. Obviously, you push hard enough, you get what you want. But it is something to consider.
You seem to think about how much you don't want it. I think that's the main learning from this discussion.
Yeah.
Whatever you don't want is what you end up with, it sounds like.
It is. But in this case, I think I'm going to end up here.
Yeah.
Because, well, I think it was really interesting because there were 2 jobs earlier this year, last year, that were really interesting to me. I'm not like on the market, but there were roles with people who I wanted to be working with. And so I went out for it. And then I got to the end and it was like, we'll have a decision for you within the week. And I panicked and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I did a little bit. I was like, I don't know how to fit this into how I'm living right now. And so, at the end when they were like, no, I was like, oh, would have been cool, but like,
thank God.
I think the universe knew what was right for me and just pushed me down.
I've been in interviews like that. It's like you get into the interview and you look around and you're like, oh, I cannot do this. Like this is not the right place for me. And then I'll intentionally bomb the interview.
I did not do that. But I can understand that.
I mean, it's just like my heart's not in the talking now, so I just don't get the role because it's like I can tell this is not going to work for me. I mean, I don't just like stand up and start cussing them out and throwing things. I mean, I just like, the interview just it doesn't
you don't have any good answers anymore.
Right. I'm just like, oh, this is not going to work.
Yeah. So I like my flexibility. I like being able to go to conferences and present on what I want when I want, those sorts of things. And when I started to realize I was going to have to plan PTO and make sure I could have someone to pick up my kids and not be able to dabble in side projects. And I was like, eek. Nope.
Yeah.
Worked out.
Is there anything that you wish I would have asked that I didn't ask, or anything else you wanted to add on?
I can't say there's anything I wish you asked. I mean, I'm glad we got to have this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I want more of your perspective on things. I mean, I'm always so interested. You've talked to so many cool people now. Like, what has been resonating, or maybe what has been top of mind these last few weeks?
Yeah, for me, the podcast has become something more than a podcast, if that makes sense. I had a friend on earlier that I knew from college. He's an artist. And I want to get more into the spiritual side of all of this and the artistic side of all this. That's where the podcast is going. He got me into some science fiction podcasts. So I'm listening to all of these weird horror science fiction podcasts about the fifth dimension and things. And my favorite one is Rabbits. And the reason that is Rabbits has these things called signposts. And it's like, even when we started this conversation, I didn't really know where we were going to go. I had an idea, but I feel like that makes a better conversation, right? When it's like, we're literally just hanging out at a party and like, I don't really know Nicole that well, but I'm going to get to know her. And it's like a lot of times when I have a pre-call, the show ends up not being that great because we already had the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
100%.
Yeah.
So, and this,
but it's counterintuitive. I'm sorry. It's counterintuitive because I feel like I'm being lazy. Go ahead.
No,
yeah,
you're not.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're not being lazy. And it's so funny because you're talking about signposts. I'm like, this is a signpost for. So
okay.
I think maybe 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, Lee Scallop-Bissett, someone I knew when I was a professor, we started this FYC chat on Twitter. And she recently posted about precision learning. It's like the next thing the vendors want to happen. Sounds very cool, right? It's like we can be precisely what they need at the right moment, at the right time. And like, this is horrible. So
why?
Why is it horrible? And it's because we missed this, right? Like, we just had conversations and learned things and thought through things we would not have ever done if someone came to us and said, here's the exact script for the podcast. And so I think by trying to be overly precise, overly perfect, brings us back to the beginning with AI stuff, that we are losing the value of conflict, of what happens when you don't know and you just let things kind of free associate and bubble up when you bring together people with different ideas and the magic that happens there. And so like, I'm not saying we just go willy-nilly and forget that trainers exist or anything like that, but this like obsession with always at the perfect moment and always the perfect learning and always perfectly tailored, like perfectly tailored according to whom, like, just,
right.
You know,
what is normal?
Yeah.
What is normal? Yeah.
I think we need to learn to engineer more serendipity and just enjoy a little bit of the unknown if we're really going to learn and continue to grow as human beings.
Yeah, you keep coming back to the social aspect. And when I asked ChatGPT to summarize your profile, social came up.
Yeah.
I can read it to you if you want. But Nicole is a research-informed L&D strategist and entrepreneur who helps organizations move beyond basic training content toward performance-focused, social, collaborative, and scalable learning systems.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thanks.
Yeah, cheers. I should have said that at the beginning, but whatever. You know, it's the benefit of listening to the end. But I think that's huge. And the fact that we are social animals, we're never going to out-evolve that. Like, we need people. And it's that other idea that you have to bounce off and work against. That's it. Like, that's it.
We literally evolved for social behavior. Like, there's some books that I would recommend, and I can't remember them off the top. So there's social. It's like why our brains are wired to connect, or how our brains are wired to connect. And his name is Matthew, and I forgot it. It's something with an L. Forgot it off the top of my head.
That rings a bell.
Yes, yeah. And so the whole premise is that we've been thinking for years that our brains evolved to be bigger and more dense to problem solve better. And that's not that it's not it, but like actually what it evolved to do was to give us a greater capacity for language and social hierarchies, more complex social relationships. And then you add storytelling to this. I mean, basically our brains are designed for storytelling. Our way of sharing and communicating is telling stories, is wrapping data in stories, and so like, okay, like we evolved from whatever we were before because of our social capacity and our ability to tell stories. And sorry if you hear the baby crying.
No, it's all
and
good.
Then all of a sudden, everything we're trying to do learning is counter to that. Everything we're doing in work is counter to that. We're trying to isolate people and make us into machines, be super hyper perfect. And
do you need to go get that baby?
No, the baby is being watched. I think she just came in.
Okay, cool. I was just wanted to throw that out there since we're about social. And the
Yes.
book is Social, Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect by Matthew D. Lieberman.
I was very close.
You're really
Yes.
good. Yeah, that
I
was
love
really
the book. I think everyone should read
I'm
it
gonna
in
read it.
L&D.
Yeah. Okay.
Even if you
Okay.
skim the first few chapters, whatever, just to get
No,
it.
I cut you
think
off and you were on a roll. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
We're still on the roll. But anyway, that's my whole
Yeah,
point
good.
is basically like, why are we working against this thing that literally evolved us into what makes us human and what made us able to thrive on this planet? It seems very counterintuitive. I don't think it's evolving to now isolate everyone and to make us dependent on machines. Use their tool,
Yes.
but please stay human.
They are not the answer and they are not a silver bullet.
Yeah, like what's the purpose of living if you're just gonna offload all your creativity and cognitive activity? Like, I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. I had a thought. It just totally evaporated. So
There's
there
the
you have
baby.
it.
That pesky
Yeah, it might
kid.
have been. Yeah, I'm so worried about that child. It's like, someone watching the baby.
Yeah, I just
Freaking me out.
at 18 months, they could practically watch themselves.
You probably hear a baby cry, and I'm ignoring it. Just like,
I'm
yeah.
ignoring it. No, we weren't even a cried out family. I've had many sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I had
mean,
the
I think
thought. It's like, to me, it's like I'm not a TikToker, and I'm not that instant gratification part of the culture. I'm not even part of that. I don't have a TV hooked up in my house. I don't feel like we should be living. I don't live in the time that I'm in, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? I watch a
Anachronistic
whole
days,
film. Yeah, I'll watch a whole film, no commercials, and then I'll turn the TV off. Like that's how I live my life. And I feel like there's just so much value in that. And now I'm tooting my own horn.
You should.
And I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know how that connects, but it feels like it does.
Because
the
you're
sense
not
that-
being fed someone else's vision of who you should be and what you should be doing and
Yeah.
what you should be buying or how you
I'm
should
listening
be
to
performing.
myself. Right. What do I need? And the only way I can do that is just to be quiet and have time where I'm doing nothing. And I think that's probably more core to my brand than I even realize.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's going to be interesting. So anyway, I guess
It is.
the TLDR of that is just like, don't ignore personalization or precision learning, but like make moments for actual
was it.
human contact.
the precision
for,
learning. You're bringing it
Yeah.
back. Thanks. You're bringing
Yeah.
it back.
I can do that.
Take
every
me out of
once in a
left
while.
field. Okay. Reel me back in, Nicole.
That's how we get to the good stuff. Even drafting. So now I'll go out in left field, right? When you sit down
Good.
with the first draft, since we started with writing, when you sit down with the first draft, the worst thing you can do is like box yourself in and try to make it perfect because then you never get to what's like really good and gritty. So yeah, let it balloon, let it meander, let it go off, and then you edit. The editing part's divine. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah. It's interesting how all the creative processes are so similar, right? Because I have the background in theater, and every time I hear someone describing the process, it's like, well, there's so many parallels to that, to like shaping up a show. You start out with just doing the dry reading, and then you practice, and then you rehearse, and then you take parts out, you add new parts in, and yeah, by the end you get to something polished.
You emphasize different words until you land on the delivery you want, right? That's like the part where on a draft, you're crossing out the words and changing your word choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that. I think that's what makes us really powerful and able to innovate and come up with ideas that are going to change the world or just make small changes. Even if you don't change the world, who cares? So like make changes within yourself, learn, grow, improve.
Yeah. I love it. And I think it's a good place to leave it. If someone wants to reach out to you or connect with you online, how can they do that, Nicole?
Probably any social media. LinkedIn, I feel like I live there for better or worse.
Cool.
So just Nicole Papiano, PhD is my handle. Yeah, start there. That's a good place.
Can I call you Dr. Papiano? Is that cool?
Yeah, technically that, I guess. Nobody knows. But yeah, I am Dr. Papiano.
Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. It's really fun.
Yeah, dude, let's talk again soon. We don't have to podcast, but thank you for having me. I mean, this
100%.
was such a cool conversation, and I think it leaves me with a positive feeling for the rest of the day. So appreciate you.
Same. Likewise. Appreciate you as well. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Game Layer. This is David Colmer reminding you to stay present and never postpone joy. You can find transcripts of the show at gamelayer.fm. GAMELAYER.fm. Theme music by Caleb Willits. Thanks for listening. Now go
Play.
I play chess.
I play Scrabble.
I play faute.
I play everything.
Hide and seek with my kids.
I play the piano.
I play board games.
I play guitar. I smash it on the pitch.
I play chess.
I play Othello.
I play all the Marios.
I play Success Strategist.
I play Street Fighter.
Final Fantasy.
I play games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention.
There are many ways to play. Going for a walk together, doing nothing together is also playing. Anything that can cultivate your feeling of joy, relaxation, where you feel more recharged after doing that thing, and I think you can consider as something that we play with. I'd like to move to the domain of play